So far we have seen that two types of transistor biasing methods, that is base resistor transistor biasing and a collector feedback resistor biasing method. Both of these two types, the stability factor has been found to be very high. For base resistor method, the stability factor S is approximately equal to beta plus 1, and collector feedback resistor, the stability factor is little less, but it is less than beta plus 1, but it is fairly high. So we have to design a transistor biasing circuit which provides a better stability. Stability means that the operating point, that is the values of the zero signal collector current and the collector emitter voltage, should be independent of the transistor parameter variations, that is beta and VBE, and temperature variations. So we have to design a circuit in which provides a constant collector zero signal collector current and collector emitter voltage independent of the variations in beta or the current amplification of the transistor, and base emitter voltage, that is replacement of the transistor, and temperature variations in the circuit. So such a arrangement or the stability with a proper biasing circuit is ensured by a new type of biasing, which we call it as the voltage divider biasing, or potential divider biasing. The circuit of a transistor biasing with voltage divider arrangement or potential divider arrangement is given in this diagram. Here the two resistances R1 and R2 are connected across a voltage source plus VCC, which provides the biasing to the base emitter junction, and the resistance connected in the collector circuit RE provides the stabilization. The resistances R1 and R2 forms a voltage divider arrangement. That's why it is called a voltage divider biasing. So let's see how the biasing has been obtained using this circuit, and also how the better stabilization has been achieved by using this circuit. So in order to discuss it, for discussing the biasing, we have to determine the values of R1 and R2 for particular values or chosen values of the collector current IC and given transistor beta. That we will discuss later. At the end of the discussion, we will see how we can determine R1 and R2, that is proper biasing circuit, how we can choose a proper biasing circuit for a circuit with a predefined collector current and transistor amplification factor beta. First of all, we will discuss about how the stabilization has been achieved using this circuit. That means we have to find the values of IC, or we have to show that IC and the collector emitter voltage VCE is independent of beta, VBE, and temperature. So we have to first of all obtain the expression for IC and VCE to show that they are independent of the transistor parameters like beta and VBE, and also it is independent of the temperature. For that, we will consider the circuit the input circuit. First of all, let's consider the input circuit, that is to find IC. is name. The different current flowing through the branches are the current flowing through this R1 is denoted by I1, and we assumed that since the base current is very small, almost the same current that flows through R1 is flowing through the resistance R2, so the current flowing through R2 is also taken to be I1. Usually in practice, the practical value of I1 is chosen to be 10 times the IB. So it is reasonable to take the current flowing through R1 and R2 are same, or I1 itself. So in that case, the voltage that appears across this R2 is taken to be V2. Then we can write V2 is equal to, or the V2 is equal to I1 into R2. So for that we have to find I1, but I1 is given by, from the above equation we can see circuit, we can see that I1 is equal to VCC divided by R1 plus R2. Since almost the same current is flowing through R1 and R2, they are assumed to be series in this case, so that VCC has to drop across R1 and R2. So the current flowing through this one I1 is equal to VCC divided by the total resistance, that is R1 plus R2. So from that we can write V2 is equal to VCC divided by R1 plus R2, which is I1, into the resistance R2, so into R2. Now if we apply Kirchhoff's voltage law to this input circuit, that is the circuit of this one, so it is the V2 has to drop across the base emitter junction, which is denoted by VBE, plus IE into RE. So this is the Kirchhoff's voltage law applied to the base emitter junction, the input circuit of the base emitter junction, and we know that IE is approximately equal to the collector current IC, so we can replace this IE by IC. So this equation become IC is equal to V2 minus VBE divided by RE. This I am replacing this IE by IC and rearranging the equation. So I will get IC is equal to V2 minus VBE divided by RE. From this equation we can say that IC depends on V2, and V2 depends only on the values of VCC and R1 and R2. They are the value parameters which we are applying to the circuit. So for a particular circuit, this VCC, R1 and R2 are constant, so V2 is constant for a particular designed circuit. So also RE is also the resistance connected in the emitter circuit, so it is also constant for a particular circuit. Then we are having this VBE, but we know that V2 is very much greater than VBE, because VBE is on less than 1 volt for almost all transistors, but the value of V2 will come around to be VCC by R1 plus R2 into R2. It is of the order of few volts, around half of this 30 to 40% of VCC will drop across R2. Usually VCC will be 15 volt. The 40% of VCC will be comes around 6 or 7 volts, 6 volts. So 4 to 6 volt will be the usual voltage across this R2. So we can say that this V2 is greater than VBE. In that case we can say that IC is approximately equal to V2 divided by RA. So the collector current is almost independent of the transistor parameters beta and VBE. From this equation we can say that the collector current is independent of the transistor parameter beta and is independent of transistor parameter beta and base emitter voltage VBE of the transistor. Now again, using this equation, we can write V2 is equal to VBE plus IERE. Since IE is approximately equal to IC, we can write it as ICRE. Now assume that if temperature increases, then definitely it will increase the collector base leakage current. ICBO will increase. 10 degree rise in temperature will almost double the leakage current, which in turn will increase the total collector current IC. So when there is an increase in temperature, collector current will increase. So according to this equation, IC has to increase when there is a temperature increase. But according to this equation, when IC increases, this V2, which is independent of the IC, because V2 is given by VCC divided by R1 plus R2 into R2. This voltage does not depend on IC, so V2 has to be constant. So the V2 is to be a constant. So if V2 is constant, then when IC increases, then VBE has to decrease to maintain V2 constant according to this equation. So according to this equation, when there is an increase in collector current due to temperature increase, the base emitter voltage has to decrease. This decrease in base emitter voltage will decrease the base current, and we know that this decrease in base current will decrease the collector current, since IC is equal to beta IB. So this equation we can say that when there is an increase in collector current due to temperature increase, which is compensated by the decrease in base current due to the decrease in the base emitter voltage of the transistor. So we can say that this using the introduction of this RE will make the collector current to the initial value, or it will tries to the presence of the emitter resistance RE tries to restore the collector current to the original value when there is an increase in collector current due to the temperature variation. So we can say that the collector current IC is constant, or collector current does not, IC does not change with change with the transistor parameters beta and VBE, and also various changes in temperature. So we can say that this circuit, the presence of RE makes a collector current independent of the variations in the transistor parameters and change in temperature. So the collector current is fixed for this circuit. Now let's consider the output circuit of this circuit, or output portion of the circuit, where we can see that if we go back to this diagram, we can see that this VCC will fall across the output part. VCE has to fall or drop across RC, and then VCE, the collector emitter voltage, then across RE. So now if we apply Kirchhoff's voltage law to the output portion of the circuit, we can write the equations of the current and voltages in the output as VCC equal to ICRC plus VCE plus IERE, but we have assumed that IE is approximately equal to IC. Then this equation becomes VCC is equal to IC into RC plus RE plus VCE. Now the expression for VCE is equal to VCC minus IC into RC plus RE. Now from this equation, in order to have a variation VCE, either VCC or IC or RC or RA has to change. But we know that for a particular circuit, this VCC is fixed, so VCC does not change at all, and RC is also a given resistance to the collector, and RE is the given resistance to the emitter. They will not change. Then the possibility is the variations in IC, but we have seen that this IC does not change with the transistor parameters and the temperature changes. So we can say that VCE also does not have any change in with beta or base emitter voltage VBE and temperature changes. So from these two statements, we can say that IC and VCE, that is zero signal collector current and collector emitter voltages, are fixed, which is possible due to the presence of this RE. So RE makes the IC and VCE, that is operating point, independent of the variations in the transistor parameters and the changes in the temperature. So we can say that better stabilization has been obtained by the potential divider arrangement shown in figure. But we know that we are qualitatively mentioned the stabilization has been obtained by the introduction of the emitter resistance RE, but we have to ensure that quantitative measurement of the stabilization is achieved through measuring or calculating the stability factor of the circuit. So now let's try to obtain the expression for the stability factor for this circuit. For any circuit, the stability factor is given by S is equal to beta plus 1 divided by 1 minus beta into dIB divided by dIC. So to calculate this stability factor, we have to first obtain the variation of the base current with a collector current, that is dIB by dIC we have to obtain. For obtaining this one, we will make the circuit into its equivalent form, that is the input of the circuit will be replaced by its Thevenin equivalent, that is the circuit actually contains a transistor. Here we are use the NPN transistor, so let's write like the draw an NPN transistor. Collector is here, emitter is here, and the base is here. Across the collector we are having a collector resistance or RC, and across the emitter we are having a resistance RE for stabilization, and across this VCC the base is connected through a resistance R1 and another resistance R2. They forms the voltage divider or potential divider arrangement for this circuit. So here actually the negative part is connected, and here it is the plus VCC. So this is the circuit. So now we are going to replace the input part, that is this part of the circuit, by its Thevenin equivalent. So for that I am rewriting the input part alone here. Here we are having a cell which is connected to a resistance R1, and a resistance R2 is connected like this, and across this R2 we are having a voltage V2 which appears across the base emitter junction, or we can say that which forward biases the base emitter junction. So the voltage across R2 serves the purpose of transistor biasing in this circuit. So we are going to replace this circuit by its equivalent circuit or Thevenin equivalent. For that we have to find the Thevenin voltage, that is VTH. The Thevenin voltage is actually nothing but the V2, which is equal to VCC divided by R1 plus R2 into R2, which is, we call it as some E0. For convenience we are taking it as C. And the resistance RTH, the Thevenin resistance, is obtained by replacing VCC by its internal resistance. So here we are assuming VCC is to be an ideal source, so the internal resistance is 0. So the equivalent resistance of the output circuit will be the parallel combination of R1 and R2, so which will be equal to R1 R2 divided by R1 plus R2, which is denoted by R0. So now the circuit can be redrawn using the equivalent portion of the input by the Thevenin equivalent. We will have a circuit like this. The resistance RC is here, RE is here, and we are having an input resistance R0 and a voltage source V0. This V0 is actually given by VCC into R2 divided by R1 plus R2, and this R0 is given by R1 parallel to R2, that is R1 R2 divided by R1 plus R2, and across this RC we are conducting the plus VCC, and here we are having RE. So now if we apply the Kirchhoff's voltage law to this input circuit, that is, if we apply here we are having a base emitter voltage VBE, so the circuit equation will be equal to V0 minus the current flowing through this R0 is IB, because the current flowing towards the base, which is IB, so it is V0 minus IB into R0 minus VBE minus IE RE, because the current flowing through here is IC and here it is IE, is equal to 0. This is the Kirchhoff's voltage law applied to the input circuit of this Thevenin equivalent. So then this is equal to V0 minus IBR0 minus VBE minus IE. I can replace it by IB plus IC. I am considering the exact value of RE here to obtain the exact value of the stabilization factor. So now differentiate this equation with respect to IC. We will get this V0 is, here we have used it as I0, so I am replacing it as V0. So it is 0 minus DIB divided by DIC into R0 minus differential of VB is again 0 minus DIB divided by DIC plus 1 into RE is equal to 0. So now DIB, rearranging this equation to obtain DIB by DIC, which will be equal to minus RE divided by R0 plus RE. So that will be DIB by DIC. Now the stability factor S is given by beta plus 1 divided by 1 minus beta into DIB by DIC plus RE divided by R0 plus RE, which is equal to, taking bit R0 plus RE as common factor in the denominator, so we will have beta plus 1 into R0 by RE divided by beta plus 1 into RE plus R0. So it was multiplied, it is R0 plus RE, RE is common factor, take it outside, so we will have 1 plus beta or beta plus 1 RE plus R0. So this is the stability factor for a voltage divider biasing circuit. Now If we take this R0 outside, so then we will have beta plus 1 into 1 plus take RE out, so we will have 1 plus R0 by RE divided by beta plus 1 plus R0 by RE. So this is the expression for the stability factor. Now let's assume, make an assumption that R0 by RE is very much smaller when compared to 1. Then the equation becomes S is approximately equal to beta plus 1 divided by beta plus 1, which is equal to 1. So the ideal cases, beta is approximately equal to 1 for a voltage divider biasing circuit. So this is the ideal value for the stability factor. Sorry, not beta, it is S. Ideal case, S is approximately equal to 1. That is the ideal value for the stability factor. So for a voltage divider arrangement, if we are setting this R0 by RE is very small compared to 1, then we can obtain the stability factor is approximately equal to 1. So but usually in practical purposes, we will take this stability factor comes around be 10 to have the compensations in all the parameters. That means if you make R0 by RE very small, then we have to make this R2 is very small. So if R2 is small, then it will increase I1, that will damage the transistor. So we have to make a compensating value for R2, so that we will have a particular value for S, and practically we will take the stability factor for a voltage divider arrangement is about 10. Here we will not make RE very higher in order to make this factor very much less than 1, because when we make RE very much greater, then the voltage source VCC has to be made very large in order to get a very high input. Otherwise the IC will be small. If you make RE is very greater, then IC will be small, the output will be very small if we use the same VCC values. So in order to have a compensating value for R0 and RE, we will choose the stability factor of the circuit is to be around 10. That will give better stabilization as far as the practical values are concerned. Now to design a common emitter transistor amplifier circuit, let's go back to the initial diagram. That is the diagram for a transistor biasing circuit, where we need to determine R1 and R2. This R1 and R2 we can determine from here itself. This voltage across R2 appears across the base emitter junction. So the biasing voltage is actually the V2, the voltage across R2 is the biasing voltage. This biasing voltage is obtained by VCC divided by R1 plus R2 into R2. This can be obtained by choosing a proper value for IC, and from which we can obtain a particular value for IB. After getting IB, and from the Thevenin equivalent circuit, we can determine the values of R1 and R2. So that's all about the transistor biasing with the voltage divider arrangement. Remember that this method is the most commonly used method for transistor biasing since it provides the better stabilization of the operating points.